Are you working as a software engineer or want to work as a software engineer in Germany? Then you must watch this video, because in this video I will give you 50 basic programming and software terms which are used in German. You might be asking, why should I learn these words? The reason for this is that in German, many of the words or terms which are used in software and programming are different from those which are used in English. So if you know these words, then it will be easier for you to communicate with your colleagues or give an interview for a software engineering position. So let's not waste any time and let's get started. Now let's take a look at the 50 basic programming and software terms in German. So the first one is die Programmiersprache, which is the programming language. Die Programmiersprache. This could be C++, Python, Java, etc. Then we have Programmieren, which means to program or to code. This is a verb, Programmieren. After that we have their code or their Quellcode, which is the source code, their code or their Quellcode. Another commonly used term in programming is die Schleife, which means a loop. For example, the for loop or the Vorschleife in German, die Schleife. After that we have their Algorithmus, which is the algorithm, their Algorithmus. Another word which you will hear a lot is die Schnittstelle, which is the interface, die Schnittstelle. This can also be an API or API Schnittstelle. Then we have das Script, which is the script. For example, a Python script, das Script. The next word is die Entwicklung, which means development, die Entwicklung. And a similar word is Softwareentwicklung, which means software development, Softwareentwicklung. After that we have die Funktion, which is a function which we use a lot in programming. So we use functions so that we can reuse our code. Die Funktion. Another important part in object-oriented programming is die Klasse, which is a class. So you can create classes in object-oriented programming, die Klasse. After that we have die Umsetzung, which means implementation, or umsetzen, which is the verb which means to implement. So die Umsetzung or umsetzen. Another term which is commonly used in programming is die Bibliothek, which is a library, die Bibliothek. The next thing which you often have to do is aktualisieren, which means to update or refresh. For example, when you have a new Windows version, then you have to update or aktualisieren. The next verb is anpassen, which means to customize or modify. For example, you have to modify a code, then you will use the verb anpassen. After that we have code pflegen, which means to maintain code, code pflegen. This is when you add new features or new functionality to your code, then you have to maintain it so that you don't have any errors. The next word is die Bereitstellung, which means deployment, die Bereitstellung. After that we have die Version, which means version, die Version. So you see how the word spelling is the same, but it is pronounced differently. So die Version. The next word is das Repository, which means repository. For example, Git repository, das Repository. After that we have the pipeline. These are, for example, DevOps pipelines or CI/CD pipelines. The pipeline. After that, the Verbindung, connection. This could be a connection between two computers, and if it is a internet connection, then you will say the Internetverbindung. After that, der Zugriff, which means access, der Zugriff. For example, if you are new in a company and you want access to repository, then you will say, I need Zugriff to the repository. Then we have die Verschlüsselung, which means encryption, die Verschlüsselung. Then we have die Wartung, which means maintenance, die Wartung. The next word is der Treiber, which means driver, der Treiber. After that we have their Fehler or their bug, which means an error or a bug, their Fehler, their bug. Then in order to solve the failure or bug, we do die Fehlerbehebung, which means debugging, die Fehlerbehebung. Another word which will make your boss very happy is Problem lösen, which means solve the problem. So Problem lösen. Lösen is a verb over here. Then we have the Firewall, which is a firewall, the firewall. After that we have der Benutzer, which means user, der Benutzer. Then if you want a new software on your computer, then you do installieren, which means to install, installieren. And if you don't want that software, then you will do deinstallieren, which means uninstall, deinstallieren. The next word is abbrechen, which means to cancel. Abbrechen, for example, if a file is being copied and it is taking too long, then you can abbrechen the process. The next word is bestätigen, which means to confirm. Bestätigen. After that, we have aufrufen, which means to trigger or call. For example, call a function in your code. Aufrufen. The next word is ausführen, which means to execute. For example, execute a script. Ausführen. After that, we have der Befehl, which is a command. Der Befehl. And der Befehl is done in the Kommandozeile, which is the terminal or command line. The Kommandozeile. Then we have erneut laden, which means to reload. Erneut laden. And something that you get from your boss is die Aufgabe, which is the task. Die Aufgabe. After that, we have die Eingabe, which is input. Die Eingabe. And the opposite for Eingabe is die Ausgabe, which is output. Die Ausgabe. After that, we have die Automatisierung, which means automation, which you can do with your software. Die Automatisierung. Another important field nowadays is künstliche Intelligenz, which means artificial intelligence. Künstliche Intelligenz. And a subfield of künstliche Intelligenz is maschinelles Lernen, which is machine learning. Maschinelles Lernen. After that, we have Software bauen, which means to build a software. Software bauen. And something that you get from your customer is die Anforderung, which is a requirement of what you have to do. Die Anforderung. Another word which you will often see is updates verfügbar, which means updates available. And then you can decide when you want to do these updates. So updates verfügbar. Verfügbar means available. After that, we have die Authentifizierung, which means authentication. Die Authentifizierung. And the last word is die Datenbank, which is the database. Die Datenbank. So these were the 50 basic programming and software terms in German. If you think that I missed any important term, then let me know in the comments below and I will give you the translation for it. So I hope that this video was helpful for you and that you have learned some new words which will be helpful in your daily life. And now, whenever you come across these words, you won't have any problem in understanding them. I have also made videos on A1 German grammar topics. If you have not yet seen them, then go and check it out. Thank you very much for your time and see you in the next video.